platform look right?
The dialogue itself has at times been hard-hitting and forceful. The African-American group refined their goals and aims with their personal experiences close to the surface.
The very basis of the problem we have in this country is racism. White supremacy. That is what it is.
The job of this process is not to end racism. It's not. We're not going to succeed there. Our job is to improve police-community relations.
Absolutely. And when the police knows what is at the root of the problem, then we will start off on an equal footing.
I personally already believe that the police, black and white, operate to support the white supremacy system, to serve and protect the white community, to control and dominate and terrorize the black community.
There's nothing about this work of mine that's ever smooth. We're talking about human dynamics, relationships, psychology, history, basically anthropology, economics, all of the disciplines bundled into one, which is conflict. Conflict is something that we all experience every day, every hour, and beginning to learn how to transform conflict into opportunity, to engage conflict, to embrace conflict as a resource for learning, for positive change, is never smooth. It's never smooth, as human relationships are never smooth.
Of the many events which challenged the smooth progress of the court-inspired collaborative process was a letter written by the Reverend Damon Lynch and addressed to the Friends of Justice. It said, "Police are killing, raping, planting false evidence, and along with the prosecutor and courts, are destroying the general sense of self-respect for black citizens." Reverend Lynch is a high profile in Cincinnati. His influence in Over the Rhine is undeniable. Amongst many other responsibilities, he was appointed to sit on the mayor's committee, set up after the April riots, to give voice to his troubled neighborhood. The purpose of the letter was to call for a boycott by business and tourism of the city of Cincinnati.
You cannot invest and bring money to invest in the economic vitality of a city that continues to not give justice to over 43% of its population. After the shooting of Timothy Thomas, you had 3 police officers indicted for the murder of not only Tim Thomas, but Roger Owensby. 3 officers indicted. All 3 were let go. 2 were found not guilty, 1 had a hung jury, and the prosecutor refused to try the case. Because of those things, the Black United Front reissued actually a letter. This letter was old. Reissued a letter stating that until there was justice in Cincinnati, that you should not come here. The letter stated that police in Cincinnati have been guilty, past and present, of killing, raping, and planting evidence. Nothing in the letter was false. No one questions the letter's veracity. People question the strident tone of the letter, and they question the timing. We felt that the letter had to be sent out.
I think that the letter kind of put the mayor in a precarious position. I mean, he was almost in a position where, you know, how do I have this person on my committee for change when, you know, it seems that he's doing things to derail the process. I think that, you know, from the community standpoint, if you don't have a Damon Lynch on your committee, who do you have that's my voice? And I think that it would have been a challenge, but I think that it would have been a positive challenge to keep Damon Lynch or someone like him on the committee, because what he reflects, it seems so disruptive, reflects the point of view of a lot of grassroots African Americans in this city.
A lot of times it's very hard for other police officers to swallow, but the truth hurts. The truth is a painful thing in a lot of situations. And I don't say it to be adversarial. I say it because it's very necessary for the community to know that you have people that are working within the agency to try to change the agency from the outside in, which is going to be key in getting this thing done. And also the community needs to know they have police officers they can trust.
The mayor did dismiss Reverend Lynch from his committee, but the collaborative process managed to ride this and many other storms. On December the 12th, Jay Rothman took the next step of the process at the courthouse. He had synthesized the collaborative down to 5 goals. Police officers and community members will become proactive partners in community problem solving. Improve education, oversight, monitoring, hiring practices and accountability of the Cincinnati Police Department. Create methods to establish the public's understanding of police policies and procedures. Build relationships of respect, mutual accountability, cooperation and trust within and between police and communities. Ensure fair, equitable and courteous treatment for all. The implementation of these goals, even if fully completed, wouldn't directly affect, though, who is stopped and how often. The court has commissioned a rigorous study to monitor police activity on the streets of Cincinnati.
We can't look into the minds of the officers doing the stops. So to the extent that people have pure motives or impure motives when they make stops, we won't know about. But what we can do is find out to what degree the proportion of whites stopped and the proportion of blacks stopped are different. And if those proportions are dramatically different, that raises a possibility of some kind of discrimination.
To decide on the degree of disproportion is no simple matter. Sophisticated analysis will be necessary.
So what we thought we would do is use what's called a geographic information system approach, a GIS approach. One can imagine a very fine grid being laid over the city. So you have the city broken down into very small areas, like pixels on a screen. And then in each area, we calculate the number of African Americans stopped divided by the number of African Americans in the area, and the number of whites stopped divided by the number of whites in the area, the difference between the two being some measure of disproportionality. Now, whether we're successful at this or not is unclear, because no one's done this before. And although we think it'll work, until we actually produce these maps, all bets are off.
With this study, it should be possible to monitor the most contentious element of racial profiling: the number of stops black drivers are subjected to for no good reason. For now, the plaintiffs are right behind this ambitious program.
If it were just a soft shoe mediation process where at the end we're all say we're going to love each other and treat each other better and we're going to do right, then I wouldn't be at the table. If we were just mediating and collaborating and somehow magically we're going to just treat each other better, I wouldn't be at the table. I like the idea that hopefully we will build relationships out of this. I think relationship building is key eventually in the long run. But what keeps me at the table is that there is a federal judge and a federal court order or a federal consent decree that will come out of this.
I like to sue people. That's what I do, you know, and I like to cross-examine people. I like to go into the courtroom. It's all very controlled. The lawyer gets to orchestrate it, and you know, I put the evidence forward that I think is the most important. It's simple compared to what we are in the middle of right here, because we're not just trying to win. We're trying to really listen. We're trying to really figure out what everybody's interests are. We're trying to serve those interests while meeting the highest goal, which is of a safe community where people trust each other. That's hard stuff. That's not easy to get at.
I think Cincinnati often gets a bad name for being late. In fact, Mark Twain came to Cincinnati some 100 years ago and said, "When the world ends, I hope I'll be in Cincinnati, because everything happens 10 years late there." Well, I think we're 10 years ahead of the game right now, and everyone's watching us.
During the American Civil War, the River Ohio was the dividing line between slavery and freedom. The city on its banks was then seen as a beacon of hope for escaping slaves. The people of Cincinnati are just now trying to live up to those people's hopes.